happened? So you got an inspiration? Okay. Well, first, let me just say this. Good morning. Happy New Year. I haven't seen some of you all since last year. And I want to really first start by thanking Reverend Margaret for following the inspiration that came to her and inviting me to do this motivational talk. I will tell you that when she said that to me, there were a couple of conversations that went on in my mind. And the first one was, who, me? And all the while my mouth said yes. Hence, our topic for today is just say yes. And I'd like to share that the additional conversation that happened in my mind after I thought about that, because I had a long drive home, my mind started to think and to do what minds do, which is thinks and create stories and all of that. And so the next thing happened was these thoughts started flowing through. And it went a little bit like this. Who do you think you are? You're not a practitioner. You're not a reverend. What do you have to say that other people would like to hear? And on and on and on it went. If I had to listen to the chatter in my mind, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you right now. Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. More directly, we are what we say yes to. Every second of every day, you're saying yes to something. Every time you do something, you say yes to that thing. Let that settle for a second. When I reflect on my life, there have been things I have said yes to that I should have said no. And there have been experiences that I've had that I should have said no to that I said yes to. And all the while, it was because my mind had convinced me that it knew what was best. And I'll talk about that a little later. When you say yes to something, you are automatically saying no to something else. Do you agree?
Yes.
Because you say yes to life, or when you say yes to life, it doesn't necessarily mean that you approve of or agree with everything that's happening in the moment, no matter what that is that might be showing up. But what it can also say is that you're not resisting what's happening. So spiritual teacher and author Adyashanti says, not accepting what is the birthplace of suffering. So when we don't accept what is, we suffer. Whatever that thing is. And nobody is asking you to agree with it or not. It is what it is. And I find it very interesting that I got to practice that very quickly this morning. So, interesting enough, this is an opportunity to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. So at about 7 o'clock this morning, when Ernest, our drummer, called or texted me and said, hey, I'm not sure I'm going to be there. The first thing that came to my mind was, well, can you say yes to that? We need some drums in here. That was the first thought that came to my mind, right? Because there was a time where I would have flipped out, like, what do you mean? Who's gonna carry the drumming here? And I was actually being given such a precious gift, I think, in that moment to practice yes.
Yeah.
Well, and in that moment, I said, well, I can say yes to this. And everything just cool. It was cool. Everything just chilled out. Like, you know what, it's gonna be fine. It's already blessed. The service is already blessed anyway, so there's no need to get upset. So Gina Lake is a non-dual spiritual teacher and an author. And in her book called Radical Happiness, she states, the ego communicates through the mind. The self, which is our higher self, communicates through the heart. The heart doesn't operate like the mind. The heart is wordless. It communicates energetically through openness and contraction. These sensations are that yes-no code in how the heart speaks. And when the heart says yes, we feel open and expansive and connected to the whole. And when the heart says no, we feel contracted and tight and small. I'll pause here and say we don't typically think of the heart as that source of intelligence because we listen to what's chattering away up here. We're not taught, we don't get training to listen to the heart. So I decided to put Gina Lake's theory to the test. And let me share a quick story. So recently, I'd been thinking about my career, next steps, what's going to happen, what should I do right now? And so as I'm currently on a spiritual journey of that there's, and believes that there's this higher intelligence that lives me and breathes me, it guides me, and it expresses itself as Jackie. It's an intelligence that can be accessed through the heart and not my mind. Because I know that my mind, and I'm sure this doesn't happen to anybody in this room, but at any given time, my mind is a mishmash of thoughts, opinions, judgments, yeses, nos, feelings, and it never stops talking and commentating about any and everything that's happening around me. That doesn't happen to you all, right? What I'd like to share is that there is an intelligence that is beyond the mind, and it uses the mind, but the intelligence doesn't come from it.
Right.
It's like a water hose. Water comes through the hose, but the water hose didn't create the water. It's not the source of it. Does that make sense?
Yes. It does.
I have experienced in the past that before I can ask for an answer to something, a question from God, from Spirit, whatever you'd like to call it, it has already answered it. But sometimes I miss the subtle cues when Spirit is giving me the answer. A case in point, as I mentioned earlier, I said, okay, let me just consult that higher intelligence that lives within me, about this career question. And I decided to do that one evening this week. So I went to this place where I get quiet and I meditate in my home, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna put this to the test. So before I did that, I really needed to calm down, right, and get quiet because it was the end of the day. I'd finished working. I said, you know what, I'm going to play some music. You know, music normally calms me down. And I had a song in there from the Bodhi Spiritual Center, which is out in Chicago. And the name of the song was called Yes. Mm-hmm. I looked at it, it was on my playlist, the first song I sang. I think I'm going to listen to that song. I'll listen to that one. So the song starts off like this. Can I sing a little bit of it for you? It goes, will your heart and soul say yes? Will your spirit still say yes? If I told you what I really need, would your heart and soul say yes? Yes, 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 yes. That's what the song said. And I said, okay, this is my jam. As the song ended, I immediately went inside and I asked that question, right? So, is it time to make a move? And I waited to see, did I feel more expansive or contracted as I was receiving this answer? And I didn't feel contracted, but I didn't feel 100% expansive either. So what I did is I said, okay, let me just stop, and I will just allow it to come when it comes. So the next day, I was on the train on our lovely Patco, and I got to the train and it wasn't moving yet, so I said, well, I'm sitting here, I got a moment of quiet, let me play a song. So I go to my Spotify, and the first song that pops up is Yes. Anybody seeing a little theme flowing here? So I decided, I said, okay, well, I'll play this song. So as I'm listening to the chorus sing yes, 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 over and over again, it gets to a place at the end where it just says, and so it is. And in that moment, the music just stopped. I didn't tap it. The train wasn't moving. We didn't get into a tunnel. It just stopped right after that. And I had a moment to be able to think for a second, or at least allow, I think my question has been answered. And I laughed for the rest of the entire day because I could not, I was realizing that the yes came before I realized it was yes. And it happened several times. But remember when I said, sometimes we miss the subtle cues? Apparently I'm one of those people, I needed to be like shouted on a billboard. Because it came before I asked. And then it continued to come. And I guess having that little break where the music just cut off on its own allowed me to see and to feel and to see and actually be aware that an answer had happened. So in order to say yes to life, we have to trust. And trust in what we cannot see. And just say yes to it. And trust and say yes when you do not know how or when something is going to happen. That takes trust. And trust that there is something that holds it all together and it knows exactly what to do with your life. So say yes to, as we say, letting go and let God. You know, we say that phrase a lot, let go, let God. Say yes to that. Because I trust this now. I can let go of everything I thought I knew my life should look like. My thoughts in my mind had told me again and again, I should be at this point in my life, I should be making this money, I should be over here doing that, going everywhere, whatever. But I know now to just let go. It's easy to let go. How many people think it's easy to let go? You can be honest, because there are those of you who know, no, it's not, because only 3 people raised their hands. I like honesty, you know? But I also know that in order to let go, there has to be a willingness. That's all you need is a willingness. I'm willing to try to just, not direct this. So, as a nation tomorrow, we celebrate the legacy and the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And Dr. King said yes to justice and equality for everyone. And he did so at a time in America when, as a black man, standing up and saying, no to the inhumane treatment and injustice could cost a person their lives. And it ultimately did cost him his life. But why did he say yes? And where did that yes come from? And I'd like to read a quick quote from him, which says, "Courage is the power of the mind to overcome fear."
That's right. Yes.
And there had to be a lot of courage in there, and also something else that was operating itself through Dr. King as Dr. King for that time in history. So what does courage have to do with anything? Well, courage, just like trust, courage is required to say yes to life. So I want to read you a couple of things. Rick Hansen wrote an article called How to Say Yes to Your Life. And in it he says, try saying yes to more things that are not your preference. I'm going to leave that right there. Because hardly do we like to say yes to things we don't prefer, right? We would prefer it be sunny and beautiful and not snowy and cold like it was yesterday.
That's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
But try saying yes to snowy weather, right? You're not saying yes that you approve, but say, for example, yes to it's raining on my picnic. Yes, there are people who are poor across the planet. You're not agreeing with it, you're just saying yes. Well, it is, right? Because going back to what I shared with you, when we don't accept what is, what happens?
Suffering.
Thank you. You can say, yes, my career has stalled. Yes, my dear friend has cancer. Yes, that is the way it is. Yes to being in traffic. Yes to the job you already have. Yes to the body you have. And if I could get a little personal, but not too personal, I really had a moment to stop and think about how many times I don't say yes to my body when I look at it in the mirror. I can say, yes, I'm healthy, I'm a healthy and whole person, but there are many times I walk past that mirror and I look and I don't say yes to it. I said, you know you need to lose some weight. You know you need to do this. You know you need to do that. Exercise more. Do this, da-da-da. And we're not saying yes to our body when we're saying that, right?
Right.
So there are yes to the twists and turns in your life. Whether it's large or small, good, bad, indifferent, past, present, future. Yes to that younger sibling whose birth toppled you from your throne. I used to tell my youngest brother, God rest his soul, that, I was the baby for 7 years before you came along. And we would laugh about that often. But yes to your parents' work, and yes to your family circumstances. Yes to your choices after you left home. Yes to what you had for breakfast this morning. Yes to moving to someplace new. Yes to having children. Yes to not having any children. Yes when your children do things that you told them not to do because you know what's going to happen. Can you say yes to that?
Yes.
That was not quite affirmative enough yes. But I want you to do something with me while we have a few more minutes. Feel your yes in your body. And we're going to try a method from Thich Nhat Hanh. Breathe in for feeling something positive. And then breathe out yes. Breathe that yes out. Breathe in energy, inhale. And breathe out a yes. Breathe in calm. And breathe out yes. Does that not feel good?
Yes.
So say yes. I like an affirmative yes, like that. Because there are often times like something happens that you're like, comes through. I often do this. If somebody walked in the room and saw me, they'd be like, she's crazy. But I often will go, yes, like that. Because I'm just saying yes to the universe. Thank you to the universe. Yes to what has just happened. So say yes to your needs. Yes to the need for more time for yourself.
Yes.
That's a big one for me. Yes to more exercise.
Oh, yes.
More love. Fewer sweets. This is a conditional crowd here. I see that. But let me just say, there is no conditions to your yes. You just yes. Fewer sweets.
Yes.
Yes.
Some people are like, I'll do it, kicking and screaming. Yes to less anger.
Yes.
Try saying no to these needs, right? Like if you really try to say no to those things in your mind or out loud, do you know that you could feel that contraction?
Yeah.
Say no to, no exercise, no sweets. Can you feel like if I actually told you for the rest of your life you can't have anything else sweet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, there's a contracted feeling, right? I mean, don't pass out. It's okay, it's a test. So say yes to being alive.
Yes.
Yes to your life. Yes to your own life. Can you say yes to your life? Yes to each year,
Yes.
each month, each minute. So imagine that life is whispering yes to you.
Wow.
Yes to all beings everywhere. Yes to you. And everything that you've said yes to, it's saying yes back to you. Even the things that you said no to are saying yes to you. That's really a deep one.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we can say no to happiness and things are currently, and it's not depending on our no. It's still happening. Something is still moving. Life is moving you in a way. So each breath, each heartbeat, each one says yes. Yes, all things, all saying yes. Just yes. So my last thing in conclusion I'm going to ask, because you guys seem to pick up really quickly on the call and response. Will you trust life or God
Yes.
to take care of you?
Yes.
See, let me see. You have to go yes like that.
All right.
Like you mean
We
it.
can do
Don't give me no mamby-pamby yeses.
No.
You can save that for later. So will you trust God in life?
Yes.
Uh-huh. That's what I'm talking about. No matter what?
Yes.
Will you trust God when things you don't like show up in your life?
Yes.
No matter what?
Yes.
I'm convinced. Will you listen to that still small voice inside of you that says, go left,
Yes.
when your mind told you to go right? Are you willing to be nice to people?
Yes.
No matter what?
Yes.
That includes our president? Conditions. All right, I'm going to give you a chance to redeem yourself. Even our president. Okay. Everywhere. So you will be nice to people everywhere.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
Especially in traffic.
Yes.
Some of you are like, So the last thing I want to share with you before I let you go is just simply be willing. You know, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have tons of experience of saying yes, but just be willing to say yes to life. Life has an intelligence that knows what it's doing, and it's living you. So if we say yes, it just, the other piece of it that I would say that I want you to walk away with, that just by saying yes, there's peace and freedom on the other side of it. When I said yes this morning to the fact that we weren't going to have a drummer, I immediately felt so free, instead of twisted in knots about what to do about it. It's like, okay, it is what it is.
That's right.
We'll make it work. I want you to know that life has your back, God has your back, and it knows what is best for you at every moment. And just like we sing here at Joyful Gathering, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. Because my heart is
Open wide.
yes, yes, yes. I am only here for God.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.